Skeleton identity revealed. Rafe shocks the DiMera brothers. Salem has seen its share of shocking revelations, long-lost twins, secret affairs, miraculous resurrections, but nothing could prepare the town, or the powerful DiMera family, for the chilling truth uncovered beneath layers of dust, bone, and buried sins. The skeleton found weeks ago on the outskirts of Salem was dismissed at first as another unsolved mystery in a town full of them. But as Police Commissioner Rafe Hernandez stood in the Salem PD briefing room, a thick file in his hands and a haunted look in his eyes, it became painfully clear. This was no ordinary case. This skeleton was about to rewrite DiMera history. And Rafe was the man who would expose it all. The remains were discovered during routine construction near the old DiMera-owned warehouse, abandoned, forgotten, and allegedly sold off years ago. A bulldozer struck something solid. At first, workers assumed it was debris. But when fragments of bone surfaced, panic rippled through the site. By the time Rafe arrived, the truth was undeniable. Human remains. The skeleton was almost complete. No personal effects. No ID. Just bones, silence, and the heavy weight of unanswered questions. Rafe knew immediately this wasn't just another cold case. The location alone raised red flags. Anything connected to DiMera land usually was. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that this skeleton would soon tear open wounds the DiMeras believed were healed forever. Days turned into weeks as forensic teams worked tirelessly. Salem buzzed with speculation. Was this a mob victim? A forgotten enemy? Another casualty of Stefano DiMera's dark legacy? Finally, the DNA results came back. Rafe stared at the report, his jaw tightening, his pulse racing. He read it once. Then again. Then a third time. No, he whispered to himself. But the science didn't lie. The skeleton belonged to a DiMera by blood. Not a distant associate. Not a hired henchman. A DiMera. And not just any DiMera, but someone officially declared dead years ago under circumstances that had never quite added up. Rafe wasted no time. He summoned E.J. DiMera and Stefan DiMera to the station under the pretense of a routine update. The moment they walked into the interrogation room, tension crackled like static. E.J., polished and confident as ever, masked his concern behind a lawyer's smirk. Stefan, more guarded, felt it in his gut. Something was wrong. Rafe didn't offer pleasantries. He placed the file on the table. We identified the remains, he said quietly. The room went still. E.J. leaned forward. And? Rafe locked eyes with him. It's family. Stefan stiffened. Who? Rafe inhaled deeply, bracing himself. Jake DiMera. The words landed like a bomb. That's impossible, Stefan snapped. Jake died years ago. We buried him. Rafe's expression didn't change. You buried someone. But it wasn't who you thought. E.J. scoffed. You're telling us we misidentified our own cousin. I'm telling you, Rafe said evenly, that the man you mourned wasn't Jake. Stefan's face drained of color. If this skeleton is Jake, he said slowly, then who did we bury? Rafe didn't answer immediately. Instead, he slid another document across the table. Autopsy photos. Time of death estimates. Cause of death, blunt force trauma to the skull. Estimated date, years earlier than Jake's supposed death. Jake DiMera had been dead long before anyone knew him as Jake. Which meant someone else had been living his life. As Rafe explained the findings, the implications became horrifying. Jake's DNA matched the skeleton perfectly. But the man who had walked into Salem years later, who loved, fought, betrayed, and claimed the DiMera name, was not Jake DiMera at all. He was an imposter. A pawn. Or worse, a carefully planted replacement. Stefan slammed his fist on the table. Who did this? Rafe's eyes darkened. That's the question that keeps me up at night. Because only one person had the resources, the cruelty, and the obsession with control to pull off something this elaborate. Stefano DiMera. Though long gone, Stefano's presence loomed larger than ever. Rafe theorized that Jake had been killed during a power struggle within the family, possibly by Stefano himself. The body hidden. The truth buried. Then, years later, Stefano introduced a lookalike, a man brainwashed, altered, or manipulated, to fill Jake's place. A controllable DiMera. A living lie. E.J. laughed bitterly. My father never let death stop him. Stefan looked sick. So Jake never had a chance. No, Rafe said quietly. He was erased.
Salem reacts. News spread fast. Gabby reeled at the thought that the man she loved wasn't who he claimed to be. Chad questioned everything he thought he knew about his family. Kate Brady demanded answers about how long this deception had been allowed to continue.
And Kristen DiMera?
She smiled.
Because secrets like this were currency, and she intended to spend them. Rafe revealed the final twist. The imposter's body was never found. Which meant the fake Jake DiMera could still be alive.
Watching. Waiting. And possibly returning to Salem once more. Stefan clenched his jaw.
If he comes back.
We'll be ready, Rafe said.
This time, the truth comes first. Jake DiMera was finally laid to rest properly, his remains given the dignity he was denied in life.
But the damage was done.
The DiMera legacy, already fractured, was now irreparably scarred. Rafe stood at the gravesite long after everyone else left, knowing one thing for certain. Salem's past never stays dead. And the bones beneath the ground still have stories to tell. Will the imposter Jake return to reclaim his stolen life? Did Stefano have an accomplice still living in Salem? Can the DiMera brothers survive yet another family betrayal? And what other skeletons are waiting to be unearthed? One truth is clear.